G'day guys, Paul from Deep Cycle Systems. Pretty excited. We've recently picked up our 300 series Land Cruiser. We've thrown some of our new 90 amp hour hybrid batteries into the back of the truck. We've driven 1,500 kilometres down to the Victorian High Country, and we're going to rip into an installation here on the side of the Halka River and show you how this system kits up in the 300 series cruisers. Alrighty, so let's have a look under the bonnet. And with the 300 series, you have to admire the engine in this engine bay. So this 3.3 litre V6 twin turbo, it's a beast of a motor. Out of the factory tuned around 28 pounds, and these motors are good for about 42 pounds of boost. Hot V, twin turbo, hats off to Toyota for putting an engine like this into production. It is super impressive. Yeah, going into the battery compartment, so what's really nice about this engine bay is everything is quite well protected, which is awesome for ingress, and obviously mainly for temperature and airflow and controlling the thermal management inside this engine bay. So this compartment's got the factory battery. So we'll take this cover off, and we can see the factory 80 amp hour AGM. And there's a heap of room in there for a much bigger battery system. So for this particular vehicle, we've developed the twin hybrid 90 amp hour system. So that's 180 amp hours of lithiums. And we've got the brackets and the hardware to bolt these in, and it's a very simple installation. So we'll take a look at the batteries and the hardware now. So these are our second generation hybrid batteries. These are both 90 amp hours. So you're getting 180 amp hours of lithium batteries in this. Hybrid meaning engine starting and deep cycling. In the kit, you get your installation hardware, copper bus bars, mounting brackets and rods. And we're going to rip into that now and put it all together. All right, so let's just get this out of here. And that's basically it. That lead acid is now ready to come out. So this monstrosity is always fun. Got a couple of handles there, let's see. There she goes. In the fitting kit, you're getting 2 threaded rods. So the shorter one is the one that bolts through this bracket, and then that bolts up onto the side of the body here in this position. All right, let's bolt this other tray up, see what happens. So removing all those bolts from the plastic tray, and that plastic tray will just slip straight out of there. So that's it there. And just make sure you put these back in so that you do secure that metal tray. So now we're going to grab our second rod, and that second rod goes in top of that tray as shown in the instructions. You want about 220 mil exposed on that rod, because that forms the deck height for your top bracket. So we've got both of these rods fitted in now, so the long one and the short one in here. And this top battery holding tray is what slots in on these bolts and secures the new batteries into place. So we'll go grab our batteries now, we'll get those into position, and we'll see how they sit. So we'll grab the battery one, sits in there nicely. And then we'll grab our second battery pack. So now what we're going to do is just bring the batteries forward a bit. Now you've got plenty of free play here. There's a lot of movement. Just going to bring them forward and I'm going to connect up that negative buzz bar first. For better access just to get to these negative terminals, I'm just going to pop this little tray up a touch, clip here, and that gives you really nice access into the back of the vehicle there. You've got much more room now here to work with. So washer and nut going onto the battery tray. Now we can get the battery secured into place. Tighten that up. Okay, T-bar's in, negative positives in, brackets are in, batteries are in place. That side of it's all finished. Now we're just going to get our factory harness back on onto the positive here. So we'll just pull that factory terminal across. M8 nut goes back in there, bolt, and then the nut to the underside. And then we'll torque that up and we'll just get it nice and straight as well. Ready. Cool, so now batteries are secured, terminals are bolted in, factory harness is in. We get this little cover back in here as well. So 2 red clips on the underside, one there, one there, one there. Now, that's the factory positive. It's going to go back in a second. Before we do that, there is something we prepared earlier. We had a mobile electrician come up a couple of days ago and rig up a RedArc brake controller for us, and also wire up the battery protect and pull a couple of circuits through into this area for us. So these are ready to go. That's David Lumley, Off-Grid Auto Electrical, and he's a mobile fitter based and services most of the Gold Coast. So if you're on the Gold Coast area, get in touch if you need any work done or a dual battery system installed. So what we'll do, these MIDI fuse holders are actually designed to bolt on to the top of the mounting bracket here. So there is pre-jeweled holes with allowances for those. So we'll get those mounted and connected up. All right, so once we've bolted everything in place, we'll grab that factory cover and that will just slot straight back in there and give you a nice factory finish like that. Nobody's gonna know you've got lithium batteries in there, heaps of power. You can run a fridge, accessories, USB chargers. You can do whatever you need to do with the batteries. We'll run a winch, and in the morning we'll show you the battery protect setup in the back of the vehicle and a couple of the features on the battery protect. And that's basically it. And we'll check out and see how the factory alternator goes as well. We'll see what it's like idling in the morning. It's got a good alternator on this engine. It's 200 amps. So we'll see what it does at idle in the morning when the engine's nice and cold. So continuing on from last night's install in the engine bay with the batteries, now we're in the back of the vehicle. We've popped the fridge in. We're gonna get that plugged in. So we've got a nice Anderson plug there neatly installed in the back of the car for the fridge. And there's also a 100-watt inverter standard in the back of these vehicles. So we've picked that up as well. So there is a Smart Battery Protect installed in the back here. We'll show you that in a second. And we've got the Anderson plug, the factory inverter, and we've picked up 3 of the USB-C charging points. So the main one on the front dash and the 2 charging points for the rear row of seats is all wired back to this Smart Battery Protect. And that's what gives us the protection so we don't drain the batteries, so we can always start the car. So we'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. But firstly, I'm just going to get my phone and turn on the battery protect. So we're going to go to our Victron app. We're going to go to our Smart Battery Protect. And essentially this becomes a digital switch for the car now to switch on and off your accessories as you so wish. Okay, so we've got 13.1 volts in the back of the car. We're going to turn the switch on. Okay, that activates the output, and now we can power on our fridge. So the fridge is up and running. And anything we run on this Anderson plug, or whatever we run on the inverter, or charging tablets for all the USB chargers on this vehicle, keeping it all kind of factory and standard looking, is all protected through this switch, which is a beautiful setup. All right, so we'll look at the Smart Battery Protect in a bit more detail here. So it's installed conveniently just behind this pocket. We get quite a lot of room in here. And it's a really simple device. You've got the power coming in from the batteries on the input and picking up all your accessories on the output. And really important is you're never grounding any accessories to chassis. So there is a negative distribution stud in here right next to the battery protect, so that the fridge, the inverter, everything is going straight back to the negative terminal of the batteries via this negative stud. That's really critical for anything you add in the car in the future. Always go back to that infrastructure you've got back in the back of the car now. On the back as well, we've got a RedArc brake controller for the trailer. So that power feed for the electronic brakes is also coming from the input of the battery protect. So you've got all that there now for everything you want to do on the car. I got these little parrots that have come and joined us. Trying to do a bit of filming here, guys, and you taking the camera action, taking the camera time. Very tame, these parrots as well. Not very afraid. But you can't eat it in the car, man. You're gonna make a mess. One on top of the roof, one inside the car. How spoiled are these parrots, eh? Well, anyway, in the meantime, the fridge is running, the drone's charging, and I'm just gonna grab my phone and connect to the DCS app. And we're gonna have a look and just see what the vehicle and the accessories now are drawing on the app. It doesn't matter which battery you connect to, because remember, they're in parallel. And as long as you've got the dual battery system toggle switch on, you're seeing exactly the combined load from the two batteries. So right now, fridge is running, we've got the accessories going, and about 1.5 amps being drawn out of the batteries. They are sitting pretty low, about 58%, because remember, we only took these out of the boxes last night. So they haven't had a chance to even charge. But we do ship them, you know, around 50% state of charge usually anyway. Coming in now to the cabin, to the middle row of seats, we're gonna have a look at this little console that is in the middle here. So you've got two USB-C fast chargers out of the factory, 6 sockets still if you need it. There is actually lots of space here for other accessories you can wire in the future, which is really cool. And heated and cooled seats, and it's got its own AC compressor in the back here as well. And these cars now are super luxurious. So coming back onto the Smart Battery Protect, when we do enable that switch, it turns on these USB ports. So you can see they've illuminated now. So they're also picked up and wired back to the Smart Battery Protect. And there's a third one on the front of the dash as well. So we've got 3 high-speed USB-C chargers as factory, all protected in the vehicle now. Good morning, guys. So day 5 of our Victorian high country trip. We camped out on Billy Goes Bluff track here. last night. Cracking campsite, beautiful area. We got some amazing views of the ranges out the back. And yeah, we're just going to touch base on the 300 series cruiser. So we did the dual 90, so the 180 amp hour dual battery system in here. And for the past 5 days, we've been running all our food for the whole trip out of this fridge. Charging drones, we've been setting the drone up at least 2 or 3 times a day to get some nice footage. We've got our camera operated batteries, all our power tools, Starlink, and yeah, you can see Starlink's online. It's just been running all night. And the factory 100-watt inverter that comes out of the box from Toyota. Remember, we wire the Smart Battery Protect and integrate that inverter into our protection. Can power a Starlink, no problems. Charge drone batteries, camera batteries, power tools, drones. So this setup for some basic stuff is brilliant, and the batteries have been going excellent in this vehicle. And what we've noticed proving and testing this particular vehicle the last few days is how cool this engine bay runs. It's astonishing doing a comparison with the Fortuner, which is basically the Hilux engine bay with the twin 90 hybrids in there versus the hybrids in the front of the cruiser. There is at least 10 to 15 degrees difference, a reduction in average battery cell temperatures, which is really impressive to see. So we'll walk around the front and we'll log into the batteries. So I'll crack this bonnet. I love that installation as well, how everything looks so factory. So we'll log in on the app. So we've got GR1 and 2. Doesn't matter which battery you connect to. So right now Starlink's running, for example, and the fridge is running, and we're also charging some of the devices off the USB-C ports. And you can see there we're pulling about 4 amps. And the batteries are sitting around 90% at the moment. There's a 200 amp alternator bolted onto this engine. Obviously smart alternator, it reduces voltages and reduces power based on engine load and temperatures and exhaust EGTs, all the rest of it for emissions purposes. But this alternator, when you fire it up in the morning and the engine's quite cool, it typically sits around 90 to 100 amps. So you are fast charging those batteries really quickly. And then once you're potting along, it sort of averages somewhere around 40 to 50 amps, which is plenty. And then after a 5-6 hour long day drive, when the temperatures do start coming up, it sort of sits around 30 amps continuously. So it definitely does a far better job than the 200 series factory alternator, and far superior than what's in the Hiluxes and the Fortuners. Like, they're super lazy, those alternators. This one out of the box, there's nothing you got to do. Don't have to trick it. Don't have to run any diaphuses. This setup is beautiful, and it gets the batteries back very quickly. So yeah, really impressed. At the moment, it's sitting at 14 degrees on the battery cells. And a full day driving, low range, hard work here in the high country, absolute maximum we've seen is 45 degrees, which is just astonishing. So yeah, really nice engine bay design. They've really done a good job of controlling the thermal dynamics around that gearbox, around that motor, away from the critical components, and it's just, yeah, it's such a good package. We're going to pack up and continue on. Day 5 is our last day. We're going to head down to Bramwell Bridge and pick up some other tracks and start heading back up north towards Bright. And we came in through from Halker Hills about 5 days ago, so it's been a really nice trip. And the 300 series, stock standard, just with some all-terrain tires, everything factory, eats all this stuff up easy. It is a really capable off-roader. Yes, it needs a bit of lift. You probably want to get 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches out of it if you can. But the factory shocks with all the electronic gizmos on them, it's taken a few days to get your head around it, to really understand the potential and which setting to be in order, to be in, 100% mud mode or dirt mode, and when you're going to use the crawl control, what sort of speed you want to dial the crawl control system in, the multi-terrain system, everything. Like, it's really impressive. And it takes a few days to really understand it and see what the computers and what the algorithms are actually doing with the drivetrain. All right, so the car's been stationary now for a few hours, and the batteries are sitting just about 91%, so coming down to 90% now. So we're going to fire up the engine, and let's just see what this alternator does at idle. Okay, so I'm going to crank him over now. We're going to have a look. There we go, exactly 90% now. So dual battery toggle switch enabled, so we can see the net of what's happening from the two batteries. The inverter's running now, we're charging the drone, headlights are on, infotainment system's on, and it's sort of just sitting there around 60 amps and now dropping down 50, 48, so sitting around 50 amps at idle. 43. 45, yeah, between 40 and 50 amps. The engine's still warm, it actually isn't cold at the moment. And let's just see if I add a little bit of RPM, let's just see what the alternator does here. Sitting around 60 amps. Yeah, we're going to descend now to the bottom of the valley and continue on our trip. So we're just next to the Kingwell Bridge along the Wonangara River, and what we're going to do here is re-up the Fortuner with some GoPros in the engine bay. We're going to put some lighting, some LED lighting throughout, and we're going to do a nice deep river crossing, okay? And we want to have a look and see what actually happens around the battery pack locations in these engine bays when you're fording quite a deep river. So remember, the batteries are IP54 rated, perfectly fine for splashes of water. And let's actually see what happens when we get nice and deep in these river crossings. All right, I'm on, let's do it. Take one. All right, guys, so I wanted to clarify a couple of things. We just went through the river crossing and we deliberately fitted a camera inside the engine bay and some lighting so you can see exactly what happens. We just quickly had a look at the footage and we can see that quite a substantial amount of water goes through the engine bay at those sort of depths. So we were just at the top of the grille, well and truly above the wheel arches, over the top of the spotlights. And You can see in here how saturated everything became. So our hybrid batteries are IP54, okay? It means they are splash proof. And you saw there, they were getting splashes of water. No issues, that's perfectly fine. Two things you'll be mindful of is when you're cleaning an engine bay, don't use a high pressure gurney or high, pressure jets of water on the batteries. Cover them up, put a rag on them or just wipe them down. Clean the rest of your engine bay and leave the batteries alone. That's one thing. And the second thing is the cases are sealed to the lids. Okay, and there's quite a thick silicone gasket between the cases and the lids. If you over tighten the battery holding clamps, you're going to compromise the gaskets and then you're going to get ingress inside the batteries. So two things to look out for, and you won't ever have any issues. So just wanted to clarify that. All our hybrid dual battery systems are available to purchase on our website. All the specifications are there for the 200 series cruisers, 300 series cruisers, Nissan Y62s, Hiluxes, Prados. Have a good look, sink your teeth into the website. They're in stock, they're shipping daily. Thanks for watching, guys.